solving mysteries in the night. Chasing shadows, finding answers, shining bright light. No one's left behind in the darkness, all alone. With a heart like a siren, she brings the lost ones home. Silent cries in the dark no longer have to be. For justice wheels keep turning, Granny on the beat. Broken voices find their power, call out hope again. When Granny's crime busters run, no victims left in vain. Bravery in her veins, truth she won't disguise. With a fire in her eyes, she's got nothing to deny. Granny fights for justice, never backs down from the call. For the voiceless and the missing, she'll stand tall.
Hello, everybody. How's everybody doing tonight? Hello, Cheryl, Ginger Girl. How are you guys doing? All right. So, I have a couple of things to go over tonight. Hello, Jackie. Oh, good to see you. Before we get started, it's going to be a 2-part series. Yes, it is a great day to keep the faith burning bright for Sebastian. Absolutely. I don't know if you guys are aware. We're not really going to discuss it, but I did want to say I know that there's a lot going on today, drama-wise, right? We don't get involved in drama here. Cheryl, thank you so much for gifting 1 Granny membership. If you receive that, please thank her. And let's see here. Find my...
Granny wants to thank you all for kindness in the chat. Super stickers, bright and grand, gifts of love we understand.
Memberships you gifted here spread the joy and banish fear. Every super thanks you send warms her heart and ends the end.
Granny cheers with love so true for each special thing you do. Thank you from her heart. You all play a major part.
Thank you. And you did another one. Thank you so much, Cheryl. That's awesome. I appreciate you guys so very much. I want to let you know that. So let's see. What I was saying was that I know that there's been some drama going on. We're not going to address it because we're not going to get caught up in that, right? But there is one thing I did want to show you, and I think it keeps the focus where it should be. And it's a message from Seth. What? So he says to Sebastian's army, I want to take a moment to personally thank each and every one of you for standing with me in the fight to bring Sebastian home. Your dedication, love, and relentless pursuit of the truth mean more than words can express. Let me be clear. I lead this mission. My team reports to me and does not act without communication with me. My team has been my support for a while now, and I wouldn't be where we are today without them. I am here, standing firm, making the decisions that I believe are right for my son. My focus remains where it has always been, on finding Sebastian and seeking justice. Do not be swayed by distractions. Stay strong, stay united, and stay focused. We are making an impact, and together we will not stop until Sebastian is home. With gratitude and determination, Seth Rogers, Sebastian's father. And then he shared that picture, and that's so cute. I just want to squeeze them. But guys, it does. It lets us know what the purpose is, right? Seth is in charge, right? So, in my opinion, we stand behind whoever he wants on his team. And because that's his decision. It's his son. It's his decision. Okay. So, yeah, he's such a cutie. So I just wanted to point that out and let everyone know that here at Granny's Crime Busters, we stand behind Seth and Sebastian. Okay. All the other drama, guys, it's a distraction. It needs to just go away. You know, that's all I can say about it. Just nothing we can do about it, number one. And it does no good talking about it. So, all right. The second thing I wanted to share was something that Hindsight played today. I don't know if if it's something or if it's nothing, but we're going to watch it and see. All right. Okay, so there's a dark blue SUV. It drives slowly past TRH. This was at 6:11:06 p.m. on February 25th. Okay, and you can see it back there. Same SUV. They backed in and parked. Evidently, that adjacent parking lot is used for TRH quite a bit. Two guys get out. They go through the bushes. We'll see them momentarily. There's one. There's the other one. As usual, the camera cuts their heads off. Here they come. They're walking into the Texas Roadhouse. There they are right there. They walk up to the bar where the pink shirt woman is sitting. They didn't spend much time there. They leave. Look at Katie looked up at them. Now they're leaving. Go back through the bushes to the SUV. Says they sit for a few minutes with the lights on and then they drive away. Oh, they're driving away up there. same time that the men were leaving, a vehicle pulled up and stopped as they crossed the street. It's yellow coat driving. At 8:19, yellow coat and pink shirt are outside TRH. All right. So, something, nothing. What do you think, guys? Hello, Canine. Hello, Cecilia. Making sure I'm getting everybody there. So, is it something? Is it nothing? What do you think, guys? I don't know. I know a lot of people think that Yellow Jacket guy is involved in some way. I'm not ruling it out. We just don't know, do we? I mean, yeah, it's hard to know what to think about that. Hello, Melissa. But it's something we can keep in our mind, in case something else comes out about it. You can't see them doing anything physically, but it does look a little sus that they just come in there. Now, here's a scenario that I've thought about. Do they, have you ever had your teenage kids meet you somewhere, want some cash or something? I mean, you know what I'm saying? Ginger says, all I know is that something was going on at TRH at night. Right? I mean, is this an average night? We said we think there's something in the water in Tennessee, so is it normal? I mean, think about it. You had Green Hoodie walk in there, use the bathroom, leave. These two guys walk in there, they're in there for a minute, 33 seconds, right? They leave. Um, what's up with that? Does that happen all the time there? I mean, I'm curious. Or is there something to this, right? The fact that they went over to the pink shirt lady. The pink shirt lady was outside, but her and the yellow jacket guy weren't talking. So I mean, I don't know. It's just weird, right? It's just really strange. What is going on there? Oh my goodness. So, I was watching another, that I am big on statement analysis. And, if you think about it, guys, that very first interview that Katie and Chris did was huge, right? It was huge. It was important because they hadn't talked for a week. You know, most parents of missing children are going to come out right away and talk, right? Not them. And the other thing is that everything since then they've added to their story, right? It was almost as though they were trying to embellish and add things that people were questioning. That's what it looked like, right? Well, so the more professionals that look at that thing gives us a better inkling of what they were thinking in that first interview. So I wanted to go to the interview room where he has Truth to Lies on as well. And this may take us 2 nights to get through because we're just going to take our time and discuss what they're talking about, right? And see what they have to say. Now, remember, the interview room, he is with the Cold Case Foundation, guys. All right. So it's interesting that he looked at this first interview to see what was going on. I kind of sped it up a little bit but he does talk about the fact in the beginning that this case is starting out to be much like the Summer Walls case. All right. So without further ado, let's go ahead and just get started.
This last week, yeah.
So, okay, so let's get started. Our way of doing this, guys and gals, and friends and neighbors, is I like to let Steve listen. He'll say, stop, we'll go back if he wants us to go back. And then we get to pick his brain a little bit and see, what's coming out there and what he's seeing that we may or may not be seeing. So, you ready, Steve?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay, I'm going to put the video up here and we'll start.
First, just express, I can't even imagine as a parent what you two are going through. How would you describe the situation right now? How are you coping?
We're on a constant roller coaster ride of helpless and hopeless and many other emotions all in one, and it's a never-ending roller coaster. It doesn't stop. It won't stop until he walks through the door.
I wouldn't wish this on anyone.
Let's hold it right there, Chris.
Okay.
Okay, so a couple things. First thing is that stepdad, his name is Chris as well. So stepdad Chris, he says, well, first of all, I got to note that mom did not answer, and I'm wanting to hear certain things from mom as a biological mother. I want to hear right away her expression of concern about her son and what he is experiencing at this time. He's been missing for 8 days. And I know that the reporter, she targeted, that question to what they have been feeling, but the feeling of any parent, the grief over their missing child is going to override anything that they may be experiencing themselves. That feeling of what is Sebastian going through? What is he experiencing? Did he find some shoes? Is he getting fed? Is he staying warm at night? A myriad of things. Did he find someone to take care of him? Is he scared? Is he okay? And just a myriad of things.
Okay, guys, I'm going to stop it right there. Has Katie ever said any of that stuff? Seth has. Seth wonders if he's okay, if he's eating right, if they're feeding him, if they're clothing him. Seth has asked all that. Have we ever heard that from Katie? Did he find some shoes? Is he scared? Right? Does she ever? She hasn't. She has not.
And that would override everything else. And so I'm wanting to hear that from mom right away, but she couldn't come up with anything. And I've seen that in other cases where and I should say cases where the parents actually had some guilty knowledge of the disappearance of their child. And when they don't come up with it right away, it's almost as if they were asked something that they weren't expected to be asked. And then because lots of times parents will go into once they're asked questions, they have a narrative, and that's what they think is just enough. Whatever's in their head, they think it's enough to suffice the questions that they will be asked. And if they're asked a question that doesn't quite fall in line, they're kind of at a loss of what to say. And so I'm wanting to hear mom express things about Sebastian, and she couldn't do it. What she did say is, I wouldn't wish this on anyone. Chris, that refers to what she's going through, not what Sebastian is going through. And that's the thing that really caught my attention, is that she has put the focus on herself rather than her 15-year-old son. And he's autistic and he has special needs, and I just don't, that just was abrasive to me. It struck me as not what I expected to hear from biological mom.
Awesome.
Go ahead.
No, you're on a roll. I'm listening.
Well, if you have something to say about that, because I'm going to go back to what stepdad Chris said.
Yeah, no, and the rocking, that sometimes is a stress relief.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes for people, they're releasing that tension and that energy, because to Steve's point, they may have something going on that we don't know. And by the way, just for the record, in the beginning of this, everybody is innocent until proven guilty. We're not here to say, they're innocent or they're guilty. That's not what we're doing. We're analyzing from a professional perspective, where both of us have testified in court as experts in our field. Steve is an expert in analyzing this statement analysis and identifying deception. It is much different in a criminal case than it is in the civilian court for a civil case, because in a criminal case, you have jeopardy and you have people that could lose their liberty. So they have a lot more to lose than just their house or their money. So this is a different type of analysis that we're looking at. So I don't have any other thing, to dovetail into what you've already said so far, Steve.
Okay. Going back to the first thing that Chris said, he said, we're on a constant roller coaster of helpless and hopeless. Now, here's the thing about this, and some people, I hope you can see what I'm going to say here, where I'm going with this. That is a portrayal of emotion such as you would read in a novel. It is something that, in other words, something that I don't expect to come from a de facto innocent parent. It is something that would be said to cover, because to cover up some guilty knowledge, let's say. It is something that appeals to the emotion of the listener, of the interviewer, of everyone out there listening to the news. Chris is appealing to that emotion, and I almost feel bad calling him Chris, because I like you so much, and I'm saying Chris,
You
and I'm referring to this guy here. So
call me Mac,
okay.
and we'll differentiate the two of them. How about that? No,
So the important thing is that the first thing that he went to was helpless and hopeless. And Chris, it's just that a de facto innocent person is going to have hope. They are going to hold out for hope.
And I agree. When I first heard Chris say helpless and hopeless, I thought, wow, you don't even care. You do not even care, right? You 8 days in, you've already given up on finding Sebastian. Remember, he made the statement, they're never going to find him. Yeah, I did see Deception Detective in there with the super chat. Let's see. Checking to see what else I might have missed. Right, Melissa, you used to worry when they were on an overnight school trip before cell phones. I know, right? Same thing here. My kids didn't have cell phones. Just crazy. Yeah. They are disgusting. They didn't give up because they already know. Yeah. But when we're looking at it for the first time, right, we're thinking, these parents, they're 8 days in. First of all, they didn't even talk until this interview. 8 days in. What parent does that? What parent of a missing child does that? Waits 8 days. I don't know. Hello, CJ, and you're very welcome. It was Cheryl that gave that out. Yeah, I don't think, I doubt if Chris has cried a tear for years. I don't think he's capable. But yeah. And Steve found it funny that she couldn't even talk, right? That she couldn't even say anything. Like, I wonder where he is. Did he get shoes? Is he eating? Does somebody have him? All the questions a mother of a missing child would say, right? All right. Let's continue on.
I know of cases where a child disappeared and the parents held out for hope that that child is going to return for over 20 years. And even when investigators finally discovered that the child had been murdered, the parents refused to let that into their vocabulary and declare the child deceased. For 20 years, they referred to him in the present tense and as alive and going to come back. And my point is that it's very difficult for them to let go. Now, this is a stepdad. It's easier for him to let go, for sure. And men in general can also let go easier than biological mothers can. But mom didn't answer. And so he went to helpless and hopeless. And that is not only an appeal for listeners to believe him, but it is an indication that there is no hope in his mind that Sebastian is coming back, and they're helpless. And in my mind, I'm thinking, are you kidding me? You're talking to the news right now. You should be portraying this. You should be so happy that we're on the news, and hey, everybody, we're getting the word out. Here's what he was wearing, and let's go out and find him. And it would be like that. I would be very hopeful at that point that I'm getting it way out there to everyone. Now, we learned that this interview came 8 days into the disappearance, and I'm wondering, what is the holdup? Why hasn't this happened before? And it's my understanding that the parents wouldn't do an interview. And is that correct? To your knowledge?
I do not know that, Steve.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I won't touch on that then, but I would like to see the parents right away coming out and saying, hey, our child is missing, and this is who he is, and let's get the information out. But that didn't happen. And instead we have this portrayal of helpless and hopeless, and mom not telling us the things that a de facto innocent biological mother should be telling us about the concern over her son. Instead, she's focusing on herself. So that's what we got.
I love it.
So let's. Yeah.
And I guess we can call him CP.
CP. All right. Good deal.
And that way folks don't get my name and his name mixed up.
Good. Thank you for that.
Which is the same name. And that was a suggestion from the chat. All right. You want me to keep moving, brother?
Let's go. Yeah.
All right. Here we go.
Not anymore.
I know we're about keeping hope alive. I'm sure that's in there somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
He's gonna come home.
He's going to walk through that door. And the street will be flooded again with family and relatives all waiting to hug and love him. And
That boy's gonna have more friends than he knows what to do with when he comes home.
So
Hold up right there before we get into the next part. It's interesting that interviewer, she's the one that she sensed that something was wrong. You can tell, and she introduced, well, how about keeping hope alive? I'm sure that's in there somewhere, isn't it? And she wants to hear that. She's, as an interviewer, as working for the news, I'm sure she's interviewed a lot of different people and watched a lot of interviews, and she knows what comes out of the mouth of a parent whose child is missing. She's wanting to hear certain things, and she didn't hear it, and so I'm sure she's helping him out here, and it couldn't come out. Mom couldn't get it out of her mouth. Again, why aren't we hearing that type of language out of her mouth? It's void. She's void of it. Yet at different times, we're going to see during this interview that she's very teary-eyed and she's sad, and I believe that she is. I believe that they're real tears. Chris, you and I have both seen fake tears in interviews many times, and the fake emotion and whatnot. I think the mom is sad here. It doesn't speak to being sad. Doesn't speak to innocence or guilt. It's just she is sad at this situation. But if she really was concerned about Sebastian, those words about him would be coming out. She wouldn't be focused on herself. And so this indicates to me that she is more in a mode of self-preservation than anything. So I'm going to see.
Oh, guys, more in a mode of self-preservation. Does that oh, does that depict Katie 100%, 1,000%? It depicts both of those too. Not worried about Sebastian at all. Neither one of them. Self-preservation. And Ginger, don't get me started on Holly. It's true. They did not want their last name out there. They didn't want their address out there. They didn't even want an interview. They had Craddock speak for them in the beginning. Yeah, they did not want. They did not want. Yeah. And Jackie O, don't feel bad because all of us have that same feeling almost every day with this case. There's something that comes up that's like, oh my gosh. But yes, that's very true, Jackie. Robin. Hello, Robin. She had 15 years to be a mother trucker. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I believe there was a reason that Holly was helping, and if you guys want to know that reason, well, you can't. You probably missed it on my members only live, so and I'm just not going to go into that reason anymore because there are, how do I want to say it? Anything that I researched and found could potentially be big, and I don't want to put Sebastian into any trouble. So, yes. This is their self-preservation interview because they know that LE knows something isn't right with these two. Yes, definitely. Definitely.
How she does throughout the rest of the interview, and hopefully, I want to hear it change. I don't
You
want
won't.
to see at the end that she's went through this whole thing in self-preservation mode. I would like to see it change to where she's expressing more concern about Sebastian.
Okay, so I'm
Good
going to
luck,
back up
Steve.
just for a second so that the audience can hear those points that you just made, and I agree with them. Would agree with you 1,000%. And that sadness also could be. It doesn't necessarily mean, it's sadness towards the totality of the circumstances. It could be sadness that, if there's some type of jeopardy there, that this is kind of a release of that stress, and that's where also the soothing of the rocking back and forth comes into this as well. So I'm going to back up just for a second. Listen,
Wow,
to how
guys.
this unfolded.
With family and relatives all waiting to hug and love him, and
That boy's gonna have more.
Now, the interesting part there is he keeps shaking his head no, yet he's talking about all the family and relatives coming in to hug him and stuff. Any thoughts on that, Steve?
Yeah, it's an indication that in his mind he knows that that's not going to happen, and the brain is so powerful, and what the brain knows is typically comes out physiologically and verbally, linguistically. What the brain knows reveals itself, and that's why the polygraph works, the voice stress analyzer works, and why statement analysis works so well if you're skilled at it. And so he's saying one thing, but that head nod is giving us a different answer that it's really not going to happen.
Yeah, and if we go back, if anybody wants to see, we did an analysis on in Summer Wells' case. You can see it in the playlist early on. Steve caught so many things in that situation, and it was indicative of the father talking on the news, going like this, going like this. All right, so that good catch. Hang on.
He's gonna walk through that door. And the street will be flooded again with family and relatives all waiting to hug and love him. And
That boy's gonna have more friends than he knows what to do with when he comes home.
Family members, huh? The only family members that care about Sebastian is Seth and his family. Because the Proudfeet sure didn't care. And Katie didn't really have Sebastian around her family much, I don't think. And thank God she didn't. But yeah, that's why he's shaking his head no. Not only because he knows Sebastian's not coming home or thinks that, but because he knows that his family is not going to embrace Sebastian, that they never did, right? Now, as far as her saying he's going to have so many friends, yes, I believe that. And the reason that I believe that is because of Sebastian's army. How many of us would love to hug him when he comes home, right? Yep. Liars. Family and relatives don't even like Sebastian. On Mob Crew's Live 2 days ago, a criminologist in the comments said that from the beginning it was evident that this case was premeditated. I believe that 100%. 100%. 100%. And I think these two thought they could get up here on this interview, that they had their script down and they, but they were not planning or prepared for behavior and statement analysis. Just were not. And it's like, was it Steve or Chris that said, your brain tells you something different. And it lets your body know, right? That's kind of scary if you think about it. But really, if you're not lying to anyone, then you don't have to worry about it, right? Unless you're trying to pull something over on somebody, you don't really have to worry about your brain telling your body something different than you're trying to say. Oh my goodness. I can't even imagine being in that position. Yes, prayers for Seth. Absolutely. Prayers for Seth. There's so much going on right now, guys, but I adore his strength. That post that I read a little bit earlier, the beginning of our broadcast tonight, just tells me so much about Seth's inner character. The analysis guy said today that her starting her story of what happened the day he went missing, always on Sunday, means that she is blanketing that day into the whole plan. Yeah. And I've heard that before, K9. I have. Yeah. And it's insulting that we think we're all going to fall for their nonsense. Yeah. I've heard that before, though, K9, about them talking about the fact that she starts everything on Sunday. When she is asked directly the question, what happened that morning? She starts on Sunday, right? She blankets that whole thing together. It's really interesting.
So here we are, 8 days now searching for him. Walk us through that Sunday night that he went missing. So walk us through, we've got so many people who really want to know, okay, how did this happen? So kind of just walk us through that night.
I get the sense that she's really concerned about that question. I mean,
Oh, yeah. I love those questions, and for your viewers, if they don't know, that's one of the questions that you and I would ask in an investigation, especially with a missing person or a homicide. Hey, describe your last moments with your loved one. Describe that last day with Sebastian. And if there was something amiss, if something bad happened, it's going to make them very, very nervous, as you know. So it's interesting to see now with that
Look at Katie's
question
face.
and where it focused her brain, what she says here.
So many people who really want to know, okay, how did this happen? So kind of just walk us through that night.
We were out and about that day. We were having a really good weekend. We got home.
See? She asked her what happened. We were out and about that day. No, you weren't. If your son went missing on Monday morning, February 26, 2024, and someone says to you, what happened that day? What are you going to say? I'm going to say, I got out of bed and I went to wake up my son for breakfast to get ready for school, and he wasn't there. And then I ran all over, and right? That's what you're going to say. You're not going to say, "Oh, we had a good day that day." Really, we're having a really good weekend. No, that's not what was asked. Yeah, it reveals a premeditated plan. It does. It does. It really does.
Everything was pretty normal. He was playing in his room. When I told him to go to bed, he did.
Just her brain, what she says here.
So many people who really want to know, okay, how did this happen? So kind of just walk us through that night.
We were out and about that day. We were having a really good weekend. We got home. Everything was pretty normal. He was playing in his room. When I told him to go to bed, he did. He said, "Good night, Mom. I love you." Said goodnight to his puppies. A little bit later, I wound up going to bed, and when I woke him up for school, he wasn't there.
All right. So there's actually a lot in that. She doesn't realize she actually skipped over. I mean, she described that day and evening very succinctly, but skipping over a lot of information. What they did that day, other conversations. She didn't say a whole lot, but from in my perspective, what she did say was actually pretty revealing. So the first thing that she said was, one of the first things was that that day was pretty normal. Now, whenever I hear somebody refer to the day as being pretty normal, I'm on alert right away for it not being a normal day. I hear this most of the time when I hear the portrayal of normalcy, it has turned out to be anything but the norm. And so I'm on high alert now. Why would she say this? And I want to hear other things about in experiential language from her. we did this. We went here. We went there. I tried to get him to wear his new shirt. He didn't want to. He said, Mom, I'm going to wear this one instead. Little things, little nuances about the day. But we didn't hear those things. She skipped over a lot of those things, which is more times than not, when somebody portrays the day as normal, it's a way of saying, hey, you should believe me that it was a normal day, and not ask me any details about the day. Just accept that it was a good day. It was a normal day. Or they will say some things that, and not in this particular case, but sometimes they'll portray it as normal, saying something in present tense, indicating this is what we always do on our normal day. And it allows them to not say what actually happened that day in a past tense.
The other thing is, that wasn't a normal day, because you cannot tell me that they took Sebastian out all the time. They went to what, 3 different places that day? Right? BJ's, the bowling alley, TRH. No, that's not a normal day. Why did she call it that? They need a new script writer.
And so it's kind of two birds of the same feather here. She's telling us right away, normal day, but I don't hear the language of this is what we did, experiential language. So she went to, I told it when I told him to go to bed, he did, and she kind of laughed. And what is that? It's a reference to him not going to bed, times that he hasn't gone to bed. And so she's kind of laughing at it, like, for once he did, or this time he did. And the problem I have with it is that it is a portrayal or a reference to something negative that Sebastian could have done. So I'm now on alert, and what she says next kind of seals the deal for me. And I don't like what I'm hearing here, because she says, he said, I love you, Mom, and he went to bed. Now, saying I love you is something that we all do. I'll call my wife. I'll talk to her on the phone. I'll say, I love you, babe. When I'm leaving, I'll say, hey, I'm running out. I'll be back soon. Love you. My daughters are here. When they leave or going somewhere, all right, love you. We say I love you a lot, but we don't have the need to tell other people that, hey, by the way, I told my wife I loved her. If we're asked about our day, we just say, oh, I had dinner with the family, and oh, my wife and I went here or there, or to drop my wife off at the airport, whatever it is. And these situations are situations where we would say I love you, but it's the need here that she has to tell the world that, hey, my son told me he loved me. So that, on top of it's a normal day, and this little hint at a negative reference that sometimes Sebastian doesn't cooperate with me, doesn't do what I tell him to do, a little laugh about it, I'm now alarmed, because more times than not, when I hear this, I love you, come out of their mouth, I know that it is often a time if a crime has been committed, that is typically the time that the crime was committed. This is particularly true in domestic situations such as this, domestic homicides, other situations similar to this. So I'm always on alert when I hear that.
Okay. That's a bit scary because he says he's got experience, guys. He says that's the time a crime was committed. That scares me. And her telling us that Sebastian said he loves her, in my opinion, she's trying to prove that she was a good mother, right? Yeah. But, I never noticed before, she's actually really red in this interview too, isn't she? If you look at her neck, her chest, her face, she's really red in this interview as well. I never noticed that before. It really stuck out in the year mark interview. Maybe because she had her hair back. So something happened before she got on the phone with CP. Okay. But guys, remember, Sebastian didn't die there. Okay. He didn't die in that home because cadaver dogs would have picked up the scent. Okay. That's true. Drinking alcohol will make you red. But some people just turn red from stress as well. So remember that cadaver dogs never picked up the scent. Luminol was used in the home. Nothing. So, he didn't die there. I don't know, right? It just makes me question now that he's saying that in his experience, did she put him out of the house at that time? I don't know. But then why wasn't there a scent, Ginger? Right? So, yeah, I trust his experience. Maybe these two did things differently. I don't know. Yeah, I think he was alive when they carried him out. Here's the thing, though. I do believe that she gave him sleeping medication and enough to knock him out so that when they carried him out, I don't know. Then you got to kind of wonder because you look at Chris's arms, right? Looks like Sebastian fought him. I don't know. I believe the 3 a.m. thing too. But did she give him medication at that time is what I'm thinking, is where I was going with that. I believe very strongly that he was carried out at 3 a.m. Whether he was awake or not, though, I don't know. But let's continue on.
The portrayal of "I love you," and the other thing is that what that does is what she's saying is I'm such a good mother that my son told me that he loves me.
Yep.
And that even elevates this even more. That why the need to portray yourself as a good mom? That is something in analysis in the
Because he
analysis
wasn't.
field that we really
He
take
knows
note
it.
of, that when there's a portrayal of being a good mom, and there are many cases. It's in the Summer Wells case. There's numerous missing person and domestic homicide type cases. We see this where there's a portrayal of being a good dad, a good mom, a good guy, and it's typically that portrayal comes around the time that if a crime was committed, the crime occurred, or right after, because they're rehabbing themselves now linguistically, psychologically. They feel the need to rehab themselves, to make themselves look better, to feel better about the situation. And so for me, it's a pretty good indication that something nefarious, something didn't go quite right that night. And so for me, it's if something occurred, it was that night, not the next morning. So yeah, I'm concerned now at this point already.
So, and everybody, so everybody understands what Steve's doing here is he's kind of, this is, you know, he's not dove into this case until tonight. I mean, this is literally the first time. So it's almost as if I wanted to present it to him in this video, you know, just fresh off the boat, for lack of a better term. And that is such a solid point about a domestic situation for our viewers to understand. You know, when you have the victim looking at the person potentially doing something to them, they go, "But I love you." Hey, and yet they're being abused or whatever the situation is. And that's the point that Steve's making here when he heard that. And I missed it until you just pointed it out. That
Well, guys, that breaks my heart. Chris was just talking about there. Is it possible that, like, Sebastian knew he was leaving and he turned to his mom and said, "But I love you"? Is that possible? That breaks my heart because she didn't deserve his love, in my opinion. If the way that she's acting and what they're picking up on, what they and how many other professionals have picked up on, guys. Did Sebastian look at her and say, "But I love you"? Mom, I love you.
that is such a powerful statement in context to the experience level potentially of a domestic situation going sideways. So I'm going to keep moving. Do you want me to keep moving?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay.
So in your mind, that's usually around what time? When do you normally wake up? Around 6 o'clock? So were you instantly thinking something's wrong, or were you like, he may just...
Oh, one other thing I have to say about that last segment, and Mally picked it up as well, and I had her statement up there, but when I woke him up for school, he wasn't there.
Yeah.
That statement, you know, when I woke him up for school, he wasn't there. Well, what do you mean? Was he woken up? Was he not woken up? What, you know, where's that going? What's your thoughts on that, Steve?
Yeah, that's definitely something that it's incongruent, those two things. When I woke him up and he wasn't there, well, you can't wake him up if he's not there. So for me, that is something that's not experiential. It's something that what happens in the brain when there's any type of deception, which if it's not experiential, then you have a form of deception because she's portraying it as experiential, as something that actually happened. But what will occur in the brain is that there's so much stress there in the brain from the deception. The brain knows what actually occurred and didn't occur. And if she's now going to try to force the opposite out of her mouth, the brain is like, hey, we know this didn't happen. And it creates this stress in the brain. It transcends the body physiologically. And what happens is linguistically, we will often hear things like this that it will sound confusing. It doesn't sound right. It doesn't flow right. It will be incongruent like her words are. And
Wow, guys, I never thought about that from that angle before. So we all believe, right, that he was taken at 3 a.m. Okay. So when I went to wake him up in the morning, he wasn't there. Well, she didn't, because she already knew he was gone. So that act never happened. So her brain is saying, no, you didn't do that. And she's trying to tell us that she did. That's why that statement doesn't make any sense. I never thought about it from that angle before. He's really good, right? Yeah. Have I just missed it, or have you guys thought about it from that angle? And Robin said, what's normal in Sebastian's life? And K9 answered it perfectly. It's Seth. Seth was the only normalcy in Sebastian's life. Did that cop in the backyard let the scent dogs go through his yard and his home? Well, I doubt it. He didn't even give them his camera stuff. So why would he let the scent dogs go through his yard and his home? You missed that too, K9. Yeah. See? I never thought about it from that angle before. All of a sudden it like just hit me that, whoa, no, of course she didn't go try to wake him up in the morning because he wasn't there, and she knew he wasn't there. She knew she had to get up and start doing everything that her and Chris scripted, right? And that's why her brain made that statement come out all funky, because she didn't do it. She didn't even probably go into Sebastian's room that morning. It just blows my mind.
When I hear things like that, I'm thinking, wow, this is what's going on the heels of what we just talked about. And now I'm seeing this is called carryover stress. And in voice stress analysis, we would have carryover stress.
And remember, guys, Steve, the statement analysis guy right here, he had never been told anything about this case prior to watching this and talking about it. He's seeing it for the first time. He had heard that Sebastian was missing, but he didn't know details of the case. So he's seeing it for the first time here, and this is what he's picking up.
She's still stressed about what she experienced that night. She's still having to answer questions about that. So she's still feeling that. And so it's coming out now, incongruent, confusion in the language, incongruency. It's classic.
Must be, are you in the shower?
I took a second and walked through the house looking for him in case he'd gotten up and was trying to get breakfast or something, because he did that sometimes. About 3 minutes in, give or take, I was on the phone with my husband. I said, I can't find him. He said, what do you mean you can't find him? I said, he's not in the house.
And so at that point, is that when you call 911, or what's going through your mind?
While we were on the phone.
Let's stop there, Chris. Before CP starts talking, there's some things going on there. Mom she's indicating that she's certain that he walked out of the house, and I want to go back to something that's key there, and in the context of Sebastian missing. She said within 3 minutes, I was on the phone with my husband. So she brings that up immediately within 3. Now, here's the thing. He's out of town, so he can't help. But she says within 3 minutes, I'm on the phone with him. She has just brought him into this via a phone call. It's very important. Their conversation on the phone is very important. And I'm going to dovetail back to something that I didn't comment on in the segment just before this, but if you remember, she said when she was describing the night, and Sebastian went to bed and said, I love you, Mom. And then she says, a little while later, I wound up going to bed. Well, what that is a little while later means there's time that has spanned, that she's not going to tell us what she did in that span of time. And she is not saying how long it was, but she just says a little while later, that's going to suffice for her. We don't know how much time spanned.
Okay, so do you guys see how interviews after this, she answered all these questions that Steve is bringing up? She talked about what she did and how he was on the phone, and then she heard the noise. And remember, she got more detailed. She didn't do that on this first interview. Did she watch these guys? We know that that's what happened with every single interview. They went back, they watched, and then they came on and they filled in. Too little, too late, every single time. And then they wonder why people are looking at them as being responsible for Sebastian's disappearance. Excuse me. Right? Yeah, he said the same thing. I don't believe he was carried out from the garage, Robin. And the reason I say that is there was cameras on that side. That would have seen him, because the neighbor said that their camera picked up them pulling into their garage, and Sebastian was in the car. So that tells me that if they carried him out from the garage, they would have seen him. In my opinion, he was carried out the back door. Let's see. CP is, he is, isn't he? Yes, he is. He's really red right now. Oh gosh, guys, I think these guys, you know how when you get really, really nervous, you feel like your skin on your neck and your face is burning up? I think that's what these two are experiencing, honestly. It blows my mind how including these two, but any of the obstacles, do not realize the untruthfulness here, right? Because anybody with a critical thinking mind and common sense is going to see the deception, right? Now, there are some things that, that I'm glad Steve is pointing out, because I never picked up on some of it, right? But it didn't take much. At one time, Hong said he was sent to a neighbor's home and then taken from there. So I was wondering if it was the house in the backyard. speculations. I mean, those things are always a possibility, but I do believe. Well, I'd have to watch the flashlight video again to see exactly where they were coming from. If they were coming from the common space in between Sebastian's home and the backyard neighbor's home, came straight down that way, then that could be a possibility. But if they were coming more, which I think they were coming more from the yard in between Sebastian's home and the home next to it. Rose Reed, do you think he's been carried out the back door? That's what I think as well. All right.
But we now know on the back end that she was on the phone with
Welcome
her
in,
husband,
Rose.
with CP, for 3 hours, I believe it was, before she went to bed. And now she's bringing in another, she's on the phone with him again. This phone conversation with him is going to be really key in whatever happened to Sebastian.
Well, she qualifies it too, Steve, right? She goes, I can't find him. Well, what does that mean? I mean,
did you find it strange the way that she said that?
yeah, it was like she paused, she's thinking, you can see her gears going.
Yeah.
And let's play that back one more time for the audience and get a better context even for both of us too. Let me go back here just for a second. And by the way, everybody, I hope you can hear this. I've got it turned up full volume. So if you can't hear it real well, turn up on your side over there, the computer on your side, just in case. I certainly want everybody to hear what's being said here.
Are you in the shower?
I took a second and walked through the house looking for him in case he'd gotten up and was trying to get breakfast or something, because he did that sometimes. About 3 minutes in, give or take, I was on the phone with my husband. I said, I can't find him.
Yeah, I mean, that was just out of thin air, within 3 minutes. I can't find him.
Yeah.
Well, and it's almost a contextual statement where, she's trying to put it into this anomaly of conversation where, I've been looking for him and I can't find him.
She's hoping it'll get accepted, that it's going to be accepted. But this has so many ties to Summer Wells, because this is so interesting. It's very similar to when Chris, you were at the house and Mom is walking you through the house, and you're down in the dungeon basement, and Mom walked you out the door where she's saying that she thinks that Summer was taken out of that door, that downstairs door, and she came out that door. And I use this clip for my training in the classes that I teach. But Mom comes out and she says, I came out here and I said Summer. And the context is incongruent with Summer being missing. If she really knew that Summer was missing, she would come out that door and she would yell. She would yell, Summer. I expect the same thing here from this mother, Katie. I expect Katie to be saying, Chris, I can't find him. I can't find him anywhere. And I want to hear this, the frantic, the emotion of her being just out of her mind, frantic that she can't find Sebastian. But that's not coming out of her brain. It's good. Why? Because it's not there. And what is coming out is her perception of reality. It's what she actually perceived, and the way that she perceived it.
Wow. Oh, this helps so much, guys. It's not coming out of her brain. Yeah. And that has always bugged me. I can't find him. Well, can't find who? If those were the first words she said to Chris, I can't find him. Well, Chris is going to be confused, right? If that truly happened, but it didn't happen because she would have been more upset. I can't find him. He's not there. Couldn't you imagine yourself talking to, if say it was you and you called your spouse, I can't find him. Oh my God, I don't know where he is, right? I can't find him. Just, so interesting how he is. I've heard things said like this before, but I never the way that Steve has put it to make us realize that the brain really is, it kind of works against you if you're telling a lie, which is a good thing. But I never realized it to that extent before.
And it's like, I can't find him. It's like, oh, like it's time. It's time for the next step in this, is what I, in my head, I'm hearing, having listened to so many of these. And so it's not congruent with what a de facto innocent biological mother, what should be going through her brain, and how she should be feeling, and how she would portray that as actually as what happened.
Love it. Here we go.
He said, what do you mean you can't find him? I said, he's not in the house.
What's your thought on the breathing here?
My thought is that it's the same. It's just a continuation of the rocking. It's also a portrayal. This whole thing, I'm kind of jumping ahead maybe a little bit, but as I watched this interview, I made a note at the end of making all my notes, and I made a note at the end that throughout the interview, I saw mom and CP, stepdad, spending more of their time and emotion or energy portraying themselves as victims rather than concern over the actual victim, who is their 15-year-old autistic son. And I think that is part of this breathing thing that I'm seeing here, is that is, it's a portrayal of the emotion, how difficult it is. But I think that it's also combined with nervousness. She's obviously nervous about this. I would be, but what I want to hear is if it's actually, if she's feeling nervous or stress about her son being gone, I should be hearing, all of us should be hearing the words that correspond to that. We're not hearing that. And so it has to be something else. And so I go to, well, what else would cause that? Well, with everything else that I'm hearing in the language, I'm thinking, this is a nervousness because she is in self-preservation mode. She is trying to not say things that she shouldn't, that might give away what she actually knows. It's just self-preservation. And so she's trying to self-soothe to keep things under control. I believe that it is nervousness, but it's not the nervousness that we should be seeing. It's self-preservation.
Yeah, that's interesting. Mally again came up with another good one. It's Lamaze breathing, right? Pant, pant, blow.
There you go.
So,
Well, guys, Okay, yes, it is 3 minutes after 6, time to call my husband, right, and start acting out the next part of the plan. Exactly. Exactly. That's exactly what she was doing, guys. Um, it blows my mind. Blows my mind. I agree with him. The nervousness was not because her son is gone. Nervous is she is afraid of being caught. Self-preservation for both of those two. Right from the very beginning, guys. That I think is where we're going to leave it today. I'm going to share my grannyism with you. We will finish up tomorrow. Because I know that there's a lot going on tonight that you guys may want to be jumping on. So let me see here. My grannyism is the important thing is not to stop questioning. Curiosity has its own reason for existing, right? And that's kind of important in this case. Can't stop questioning because we don't know exactly what happened, right? And if we, yeah, CP even says that later. Here we go. That's right. Exactly. Here we go. Yeah. So we have to keep questioning, right? The video that I showed you before from hindsight, right? Which, by the way, I'll put hindsight's link in the description of this video. Look for it in about 10 minutes if you want. But yeah, questioning is important. That's what cops do. When they're doing an interview, they're questioning, right? Leading people into an answer that you want, like Holly is doing, is not questioning anything. I'm just saying. Yeah. We have a couple of people who studied the Summer Wells case. And guys, I'm taking their word for it because I did not study the Summer Wells case. I really don't know hardly anything about it, honestly. I didn't follow that case. I'm a beautiful little girl. I'm sorry that she's not been found. We need justice for her as well. But yeah, questioning. Extremely important, isn't it? We need to keep questioning. The video from earlier, question, why did those two guys walk up to the pink shirt lady, walk back out? 1 minute, 33 seconds. We're questioning. Why? It could be totally innocent, guys. We don't know. But we're questioning it, aren't we? Then we're questioning why pink shirt lady came outside and it seemed like yellow jacket guy. And then all of a sudden, yellow jacket guy is driving by. I mean, we're questioning. We don't know if they all fit. But it has been our questions that have led to some of the things that we know. We questioned the flashlight video, even though Craddock said from the beginning it was of no evidentiary value. He made Nick Barris kind of walk back on it. But what did we find out since then, guys? We have found out that it's real, that the 3 a.m. car was real, that those flashlights were flashlights. They were not a trash truck, right? We questioned until we found out, right? Now, there's a difference, guys, I want to say. There's a difference between questioning and going rogue, going real life, right? We can question things, but we need to be careful because the last thing that we ever want to do is hurt Sebastian's case. Okay? Yeah, so many people have said that Well, Chris even mentioned Summer Wells, didn't he? I think. But so many people have said that there were a lot of similarities between the two cases, right? But yeah, so let's not stop questioning, but let's do it responsibly. I guess that's the most important thing. Being responsible with our questioning, not going to extremes, not seeing things that aren't there, not calling in every little thing that we might think could be a tip, because it only hurts the case, right? And what I'm most afraid of, guys, is that if Sebastian is out there alive, they could end up moving him. We could get a tip, like, say, from the other night, right? Seemed like a good tip. And for those of you who don't know, go and look at last night's video. I talk about it just very shortly. But or I have a members only video about do we have a sighting? So, if that was real and they realize that we all saw it now, they could move him, or even worse, depending on who has him. So we need to be really careful and question responsibly, guys. We need to be responsible in how we are looking at these cases, right? I don't ever want to be the cause of messing up a case. Never. Yes, everybody, there is a Mr. E is talking about an update from at night. So please, go on over there. Tell him Granny sent you. I'll be over there in just a short minute. I have to go to the bathroom. So yeah, everybody jump on over there. And we will see you tomorrow night to finish up this statement analysis. Thank you so much, guys, and have a great night. Thank you for watching another episode of Granny's Crime Busters. We really appreciate each and every one of you. Don't forget to subscribe and like and even share the content. You can follow us on any of our other social media platforms at YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. We really appreciate you guys, and you can also email us at granniescrimebusters@gmail.com. Thank you so much, and we will see you on the next one. Thanks, guys.